Knowledge is power, and that is precisely why it is hunted, why it is feared, and why it is erased. This is what was deleted from our history. We are a civilization obsessed with what our ancestors built. We stare in awe at the pyramids they raised, the temples they carved, and the impossible machines they left behind. We have spent centuries asking how, but we have forgotten to ask the more important, more terrifying question. What did they know? Because for every megalith that survived, a library that held its blueprint burned. For every lost technology, a formula was deliberately destroyed. These were not just collections of poetry and songs. They were the hard drives of our planet's zero-point lore, repositories of forbidden science, lost supertexts, and the true, unedited history of humanity. Today, we are unlocking the vaults. We are investigating 5 lost libraries that held the secrets of our world. Our first stop is the ghost that haunts us all, the Great Library of Alexandria. This was not a library as we know it. It was the first true university, a sprawling research institute, a museum where the greatest minds of the ancient world, Euclid, Eratosthenes, Archimedes, came to live, to study, and to decode the laws of the universe. But the true mystery of Alexandria is not what it held. It is how it was lost. The official story of a single catastrophic fire is a myth. The truth is more sinister. Alexandria was not destroyed. It was murdered. It suffered a slow, painful death over centuries. It was burned by Caesar's ambition. It was purged by the fanaticism of religious mobs who saw its knowledge as heresy. It was starved by emperors who cut its funding. It was a deliberate, systematic erasure. What did we lose? We lost the originals of Aristotle. We lost thousands of plays and histories. We lost the complete maps of Eratosthenes, who had accurately calculated the circumference of the earth. And perhaps we lost the manual, the blueprint for the Antikythera Mechanism, the proof of an ancient analog computer whose origins were now permanently deleted. But what if the greatest loss from Alexandria wasn't a map of the stars, but a warning from the earth? We travel to the heart of the Assyrian Empire, Nineveh. Here, in the 7th century B.C.E., King Ashurbanipal assembled a different kind of library, not of fragile papyrus, but of eternal clay. He sent scribes to every corner of his empire, ordering them to copy every text, every piece of knowledge, every myth. And in 612 B.C.E., his enemies, the Babylonians and the Medes, gave his library an accidental gift. They sacked the city and burned it to the ground. The fire that destroyed the palace saved the library. It baked the 30,000 clay tablets, turning them from brittle mud into immortal ceramic. They lay buried, forgotten, until archaeologists unearthed them in the 1850s. And what they found changes our entire understanding of history. Buried in the administrative records was the Epic of Gilgamesh. And within that epic was the story of Utnapishtim, a man warned by the gods of a coming great flood who builds a great boat, saves the animals, and survives the end of the world. This is the 0-point hook. This tablet was written 1,000 years before the earliest version of Noah's story in the Old Testament. The Library of Ashurbanipal proved beyond any doubt that the Great Flood was not a myth. It was a memory, a fragmented historical report of a real planet-wide cataclysm that haunted every civilization of the ancient world. The Library of Alexandria was murdered. The Library of Ashurbanipal was fossilized. But our third library was an execution. The Maya, masters of mathematics and time. Their civilization, as we have explored, vanished. But their knowledge was left behind, written in thousands of codices, beautiful screen-folded books made from fig tree bark. They contained their astronomy, their calendars, their medicine, their prophecies, their complete understanding of the cosmos. And then, on July 12, 1562, one man destroyed it all. Bishop Diego de Landa, in an act of supreme cultural arrogance, declared the books to be superstitions and lies of the devil. He gathered every book his men could find, and he burned them. This was not a casualty of war. This was a deliberate ideological erasure, an attempt to delete the soul of an entire civilization. Today, out of the thousands that existed, only 4 are known to survive. What did we lose? We lost the history of a hemisphere. We lost the key to their collapse. We lost, perhaps forever, the full, terrifying answer to why a civilization that had mastered the stars simply walked away from its own cities. But what if the most valuable lost technology wasn't a calendar, but a weapon? When Rome fell, its knowledge fled east, to the new Rome, Constantinople. For 1,000 years, the Imperial Library was the last fortress of the ancient mind. It held the surviving texts from Alexandria, the lost dialogues of Plato, the great engineering manuals of the Roman Empire, and it held one secret, so powerful, it kept the empire alive for centuries. A formula, the formula for Greek fire. As we have investigated on this channel, this was not just fire. This was a lost supertech, a liquid chemical weapon sprayed from siphons that ignited on contact and could not be extinguished by water. Water fed it. The formula was the most closely guarded state secret in history, known only to the emperor and a single family of technicians. And then, in the year 1204, the unthinkable happened. The enemy did not come from the east. It came from the west. The Fourth Crusade. Christian allies turned on the city, sacking it with a brutality that shocked the world. The library was obliterated. The technicians were killed. The formula was lost. The secret was kept too well. And the knowledge of Roman self-healing concrete and the fire that burned on water was erased from the earth by our own hand. We have explored libraries of papyrus, clay, and bark. We have seen them burned by fanatics, shattered by war, and murdered by allies. But what if the ultimate library isn't physical at all? This is the library that Zero Point Lore has always been searching for. It is the lost land that is not a place, the hollow earth that is not a cavern. It is the myth of Shambhala, the forbidden theory of consciousness. This is the Akashic Record. The lore, guarded by Tibetan monks and ancient mystics for millennia, states that this is not a physical library. It is a metaphysical one, a non-physical, energetic hard drive, existing in a higher dimension that records everything, every thought, every action, every word, every event, the complete unedited history of the entire cosmos. This is the 0 Point Connection. Is this library where the true lost blueprints are stored? Is this the cloud server that holds the designs for Göbekli Tepe? The formula for the softened stone of Sacsayhuaman? Does it hold the true, terrifying memory of the cycles of cataclysm, the warnings of the Silurian hypothesis, the real reason Atlantis was destroyed? The lore says this knowledge was never lost. It is simply archived. The ancient priests and mystics were not worshippers. They were librarians. They had developed the lost supertech of consciousness itself, the ability to tune their minds, to read this data. The greatest library of all isn't out there. It's in here. The destruction of our physical libraries, Alexandria, Nineveh, Constantinople, was not just a tragedy. It was the cause of our civilizational amnesia. It is the reason we believe we are inventing, when, in fact, we are just remembering. We are a species with a library card to the entire universe, and we have forgotten how to read. We are fumbling in the dark, trying to piece together the fragments of a knowledge that was once complete. The greatest secret of all is that the archive is still there. The lore is waiting. If you believe that our past holds the keys to our future, subscribe to Zero Point Lore. Join the investigation as we try to recover the lost pages. And now, we want to hear from you. If you could recover one single lost piece of knowledge, one lost formula, or one deleted history from the ruins of Alexandria, what would it be? Let us know your theory in the comments below.